Hi, it's Paula from Paula Quilting. Welcome to my channel. This is the part 2 of the Christmas tree skirt project. So we'll be making block 2. Let's get started. Right, so you can believe it or not, but I have used up all my wonky strings in green, which I would want to use for this second block. But since I don't have any because I used it in my last project, or one of the last projects, summer string field block, then obviously I need to now improvise. So I found this stripy fabric from the bedding in my buckets, and I think that will be perfect for what I want to do. Now if you do have strings you want to use, then you just need to sew them together and have them about 4.5 inches wide strips, you know, when you sew them. You know, starch them, make sure they're nice and flat. Lengthwise you can go whatever you want, because we are going to be making Christmas trees, so we'll be cutting the triangles. You will have a green crumb blocks, again that can be used. Cut them into rectangles about 4.5 inches high, and then we'll cut the triangles from that as well. So like I said, because I don't have any, I will be using this fabric. So what I want to do is actually cut the strips of 4.5 inch tall. So let me just see how I can work out with that fabric. I hope it will be enough. I do need let's have a look, 22 Christmas trees. So I do need 22 triangles. Now I did make some other scrappy test blocks, and I've got 3 of them already, and I will show you those a little bit later. So I need 19 of the triangles. So I will cut them, like I said, to about 4.5 inches tall. 4.5. You know, if you've got something which is a little bit less or a little bit more, then you can leave it as well, it's fine. I will make 2. Don't want to cut too much, because those triangles will not actually eat a lot of fabric, I think. Well, we shall see. Let's look what those colors are here. I think I like this green better, but yeah, I don't want to kind of cut in the middle. Okay, so let's do 2 strips for now. I still got enough for another one if I need to. So I cannot now put the fabric on top of each other, and look how I cut those stripes. If you got stripy greenish fabric, obviously that will be great to use as well. So I cut them that way, and I will be cutting triangles this way, so I will have those stripes in my Christmas trees going the right way. So again, there's nothing complicated here. Well, the first one I would like to probably make a little bit more on triangle here. So that will go to my scrap box, and then I'm not measuring anything. I'm just going from the tip somewhere down, and then I will go up. So every time I cut, I've got 4. So that's 8. 12. 16, and I did need 19, so obviously I will make 20, and then wider. Here you go. So I've got 20. I'll just take one out, maybe this one out. And now what I want to do is add obviously a trunk. So I found in my bucket this brown, well, it's a dark navy color as a background, and there are on it like I don't know what it is. It's a seed plants, but in the brown color. So I thought that will look nicely with the, you know, as a stem or as a trunk of the tree. So I will show you one I did before. So this is the look we're going for. So there's our triangle, that trunk, and then I just literally added lots of scraps from my scrap box from different projects. You know, when I was squaring something up, I've added to the edge to fill up that 6.5 inch. Then it was heavily starched and trimmed around. So I've got this strip, and this strip is cut to 1.5, I think. Yes, 1.5 inch, and I did cut them in the square, so 1.5 by 1.5. So I will need 19 more of those to finish my trees. And then obviously I have some 1.5 inch white strips to go to the either of the side. And I did had some scraps again from my scrap box, and they are about 3 inches wide, and they were just perfect to kind of go on the back, you know, on the side of it when I was doing that piece here. And again, I've got some scraps from the previous projects when I was squaring something up, so I will use those ones as well. And once I run out, I've got some 2.5 inch white like off cream color or beige color, and I fill in the gaps where I need to. Okay, so let's get started. So like I said, first I need 19 of my tree trunks, and I will, where I can, you know, again, chain piece. This is the best method to use, you know, when you're stitching anything. It saves a lot of time in between and saves thread as well. I did set my stitch length to 1.8. I just like to work with smaller stitch length. You know, the smaller the piece I'm piecing, the smaller the stitch length. I finished stitching my tree stumps, so they're all ready now to, and I can now add my tree tops. So literally I'm just adding the triangle somewhat in the middle of the tree trunk. It's, you know, I'm not measuring anything. And I will just chain piece all of the pieces. I did that for all of the others already. I just kept those 3 to show you the process. So it's quite, you know, quick if you chain piece everything. So I did iron the seams to the inside. It's much easier that way than kind of to the outside. And obviously it's a darker fabric as well, so it doesn't show through the white one. Okay, I will take you to the iron now. Just a small note about the ironing, things like that. It's easier to iron this out than this part out. It's because it will warp here on the edges where you don't have a second fabric together. So when you're ironing things like that, just always take the smaller piece out and iron this way. It's just a small trick there to make it a little bit more straight. Okay, I will take it to the iron. It's, you know, with projects like this, it's also good to have that kind of nesting arrangement when you have a sewing and ironing just next to you, just for the speed. But if you chain piece also, it speed up the process because you do job by bulk. So you sew everything together, you iron everything together, you cut everything together. That, you know, saves a lot of time. Okay, now you can use rotary cutter here if you want, but I'm just going to eyeball it with the scissors at the moment. Now that's just in that first part. Later I will definitely use the rotary cutter to make sure they are nice and even, but here it's not yet so important. Okay, now I need to dip into my scraps to start putting the sides to my trees. So I went through my scrap basket before, and I had some like a smaller wonky bits, so that can be used as well. I just stitched them together. This one will be too short. Let's have a look if I've got something longer. Again, this one is stitched from the leftovers, and it's long enough to go against. Just remember that piece needs to be long enough for this here to be nicely nicely cut later straight, so you need to have a little bit lower than the edge. And then here it depends how much you already here, because we'll be looking for 6.5, but I can always add something at the top later. So if you have some scraps like this, use them as well. Oh, I've got one very long which I can use for those 3, and I can use the smaller ones later to kind of fill in the sides. So if you're not sure how much or how far you will need to go with it, just put it to the side, eyeball it more or less where it needs to finish here, where it needs to finish there, and then pin it before you start stitching, so you know you will be in the right position. And then next one. So in here, in theory, I should probably, when I open it up, this is how much I will need to make that edge straight. So I should not have a next one starting very close to the top one. I should go much lower. So again, this will take me around here to cut it down. So I will just stitch one more on this strip, and then we'll see where I can use the remaining scraps. Now I need to take it to the iron again, and again I will be ironing out the small bit outside, again just to avoid the bending of the fabric here at the ends when there is no second fabric to add to it. Okay, I will now use the rotary cutter to make sure I do have it nice and even at the edges. I just need the top one at the moment. I'm not worried about the other side for now. Here I will just cut freehand just to decrease the amount of fabric. Okay, now I need to find the pieces to add to the other side. Okay, I will iron this again, and then because again I'm using the scraps, in the next pass I kind of have a little bit more thinking to do, and I will show you what I mean. So I did iron my triangles, and this is what they look like, and obviously I need to tidy up the edges if they are not even. I'll probably do the top one as well. I might need to add something there. So I'm taking my 6.5 inch ruler now, and just to see where do I miss fabric. So in this one I think I need a little bit at the top, obviously, so I don't want to, you know, if I add this I'm gonna have to square up straight on that seam line, so obviously that's not what I want to do. So I go lower, I will cut this one out, then I will stitch that, and then I will be able to square up, and obviously that's seam allowance will not disturb. So I will put this one on, so that will be my first stitch on this one. Next block, okay, let's straighten this edge here. Let's see how much we need here. So I want my tree more or less in the middle, but again it's not, you know, science here. So at the top I'm fine, I don't need to add anything at the top, but definitely I need some sides here. So I've got some scraps from the previous squaring up the blocks, and I'm just trying to see if there's something from those scraps I can use to top up in, you know, just in the one piece, but if not, I will just add multiple pieces. So that's not a bit, you know, it's a little bit more like a puzzle here now. Okay, I think I will add this one first here, and then I will add something more at the you know, at the top on this side later. So now we need longer piece on this side, definitely a longer piece. So I'll just use 2.5-inch strip I've got here, so that will go on this side. So I will, you know, I will stitch both of those things, then iron, and then there will be my next step. So whilst I'm going through the batch of those trees, I'm doing at the moment just 3, but normally I will do as many as I need. I will just pin those pieces as I go through the whole batch, and then go to the sewing machine to do it in one go again as a chain piecing. Just don't forget at the last ironing, when you have, you know, enough surface to square up, to starch them very, you know, well. There are 2 reasons for it. Obviously lots of seams, at least in my block, because it's scrappy one, but 2, it's for the next step, which I will show you. So I really just like to show you how those you know, extra seams here from all of those scraps adding the character to the block. Personally, I really like that effect. It's kind of adding that extra dimension to the block. It, you know, it would look nice using the normal fabric, you know, without any of those seams, if you have enough fabric and it's wide enough. But all of those extra seams and, you know, different shades of the white, off-white colors, beiges, kind of giving that extra oomph to the block, in my opinion. But you know, you do what you like and what you have available. Right, so now we need to square them up to 6.5. So I'm trying to put that tree, you know, more or less in the middle, but I am not measuring anything. It's all, you know, eyeballing here. And there it is, my Christmas tree block. So I will square all of the other ones as well now, and I will show you the next step, because I have finally figured out how to use up all of the buttons I've got for the button up shirts I've been using so far. So I've used up, you know, all the pockets, I've used up all the button strips, I've used up even some interesting labels they had on it, but I didn't find a way of using easily buttons, and now I finally found a way of using them up. So I'm you know, I'm quite happy to show you the next step. Since we've added some additional detail to the Christmas gift box block, then, you know, it's only fair to add some to this one as well. So I went through the box with the buttons, and I have chosen all of the ones which are the same shape, or more or less the same shape, but more important, the holes in them are in the same kind of distance between each other. So the buttons can be slightly different size, but the holes are exactly the same, spaced up. So what I will do now, I will basically add my buttons to my Christmas tree, and those are going to be my bulbs. So I think if I add more or less, how many I would like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 per one tree. Obviously you can do more or less, but that will look very nice. Now I've got 22 blocks to make of that design. Is it 22? Yes, 22. So it would take forever to do it by hand. So I am going to use machine to do my buttons, and I will show you how to do it. So you can buy a button foot, you know, on eBay or in your local store. They are not very expensive and readily available for the machine. But if you don't have one, that's not a problem either. What you want to do is just remove your foot, and then you want to take the stitch length to 0 if you can, or as little as your machine will allows you. and then you want to change it to zigzag. So what you want to do is you put your foot down. Well, there's no foot, there's just a chunk there, but which will hold your button in place. And then you want to hand crank and adjust your stitch width of the zigzag to go into the one hole. Do it by hand, by cranking, and then go to the other hole. And you know, you will need to adjust it until you find the right distance, and don't press the pedal until you do that very well. So once you've got your distance done, like I've got it now, it's going in very easily on both sides. You can then go with your pedal. And I'm basically putting as many as I can, quite a lot of those, because I won't be tying any threads or anything like that. So if I do a lot of those passes, then I know that button will stay there, even if I just don't tie any threads. So then I go up. At this point I don't cut any threads, I just take another button and I put it somewhere where I want to have it, and again I'm putting the foot, well, the shank down, and again I'm just holding it, maneuver slightly around just to make sure that my needle, again hand cranking, going the right spots. Once it does, I can speed up. Next one. And this is what I said, it's important that your buttons are, the holes of the buttons are the same distance between, because you don't want to adjust it every time you add a new button. And next one. I did choose all of those little bit like shiny buttons from the shirts, just to give a little bit of Christmassy feel. But you may have colorful ones, or maybe different shapes of the buttons you would like to use. There are some star buttons or things like that, so that's a great opportunity to use them up. Okay, next one. And watch your fingers, please be careful with that one. If it's bigger button, it's easier. With small ones, just please be careful and just do it slowly, don't rush on that point. Again, just putting the shank down, hand crank here. Check the distance is fine. And the last one. Go as quickly or as slow as you're comfortable. Once you put few stitches around, that button will not move anymore. You can go little bit quicker, but don't rush. However quick or slow you do it, it's still going to be much quicker than doing it by hand. So you don't have to rush with it. So now I will just cut all of those threads here at the top, and I will leave the bottom thread as is. It's all going to be linked at the bottom, and it's fine. I don't have to take that one out. So yes, here I'm leaving all of those threads, and I will leave them at the top as is. So I will sew on the rest of my buttons, and I will show you a few close-ups how it looks. And here they are, my Christmas tree blocks. I think those buttons really make a difference here. I really like how they came out. I also added some blue ones and some green ones. I didn't have 7 of those, only 6, but it's looking fine too. So the color wise and shape wise, just have a look what you've got. Just please be sure to watch your fingers when you're sewing it. Do it slowly if you're not very confident, and Like I said, it's easier to choose the buttons which got the same distance between the holes, because it saves you time to adjust the machine every time. I know this is not going to be, you know, just this one block, but I will pop them on the design wall and let's have a look how they look when they, you know, there's more of them. And here you can see my finished Christmas trees, and I really like how they came out. I think the combination of those scraps in the background and then added buttons makes it really stand out. So it would have been really great, you know, small, maybe hanging on its own. Just, you know, maybe you will have a different fabrics to use for the Christmas trees, just to add a little bit even more pop. Like I've mentioned before, you can use the wonky strips, put in the strip sets, or some crumb blocks there. But you know, it really makes that block stand out with all of those buttons. So you know, it was double bonus for me to use the buttons and use all of those background scraps for this project. Thank you for watching this video of the block 2 of for our Christmas tree skirt. I thought I would be able to just do it in 2 parts, but I think it would be better to put the putting together the Christmas tree in the separate video. So please be sure to subscribe to be able to finish the project. As usual, pop into the descriptions for all the goodies and links for all of the other things I've mentioned in the tutorial, and also for the links to the groups, Facebook, Pinterest. Thank you for watching and see you next time.